Hello everyone. In this video I want to lay the groundwork for a video series about botched movie endings. In particular, I want to talk about movies that are great for the first 90% of the runtime, but then ruin everything with a bad ending. The 4 movies that motivated me to start this series are Arrival, Django, Blade Runner 2049, and The Departed. Arrival is especially painful to me because I really wanted to like this movie, but the ending just completely ruined it for me, especially because the movie has such a powerful and emotional message at its heart. My goal is completely selfish. I don't want the movies that I watch to be ruined by bad endings anymore. So to give future movie makers some pointers, I will try to put my thoughts into words in this series. In order to be as fair as possible and to be credible, I will lay out the criteria that I will be using to assess each movie in this series. In my opinion, the following 4 ingredients are necessary to make a great ending. Let's list them all up. Ingredient number 1, story. If the story sucks, the ending doesn't matter. Ingredient number 2, rules. Almost everything in a story is a rule. Designing great rules is fundamental for a great story and a great ending. Ingredient number 3, integrity. Now that we have great rules, the next step is applying these rules consistently. Ingredient number 4, resolution. A great ending resolves the main conflict of the movie in a satisfying way. Next, I will go over each ingredient again in more detail. Let's talk about ingredient number 1, story. So, what makes a great story? A great story is built on a foundation of 3 components: character, desire, and conflict. The hero wants something and must overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles to achieve it. In doing so, the story ideally takes the audience on 2 journeys: an outer journey and an inner journey. The outer journey shows someone cleverly overcoming huge obstacles and setbacks. The inner journey is usually about a fear or a belief that the hero holds that is wrong and that they ultimately must overcome to achieve the outer goal. Here is a great quote from an unknown author. "Until we know what a character wants, we don't know what the story is about. Until we know what the stakes are, we don't care." Let's list the important ingredients of a great story together with a few genre-specific ingredients. Interesting characters that want something. Obstacles that stand in their way. Danger and high stakes. Incredible odds. Rising tension. Conflict. Revelations. An outer journey and an inner journey. And finally, a satisfying resolution. Not every story has to have all of these elements, and as I said, some are genre-specific. For example, probably all stories need interesting characters that want something. But in addition, a mystery should have many interesting reveals. A drama should have conflict, rising tension, and an inner journey of at least the main protagonist. James Bond, on the other hand, doesn't need an inner journey, just danger, high stakes, and incredible odds. Tyler Mowry has many great videos on this topic. Here are 2. How to give your story a good foundation and the core of storytelling. Links are in the description. And also, Michael Haig excellently talks about the inner and outer journey in Transformative Stories with Michael Haig. Link is in the description. Okay, I think we covered story. Let's talk about ingredient number 2, rules. If you think about it, almost everything in a story is a rule. A setting is an environment with rules. A character is an agent with desires and beliefs, which are in effect also rules. And conflict is a collision of those rules. The more interesting the rules, the more interesting the setting, characters, and the resulting conflict. Let's look at some examples of great characters. Rick from Casablanca will stick his neck out for nobody. Katniss Everdeen is guided by a strong sense of justice and a desire to protect those she loves. Vito Corleone is a powerful mafia boss who lives by a code of loyalty and family. Indiana Jones believes historical artifacts belong in a museum and he's willing to risk his life to recover them. Captain Jack Sparrow values his freedom above all else. Gollum is willing to do whatever it takes to possess the One Ring, including lying, cheating, and even killing. Let's look at some examples of great setting. In The Shawshank Redemption, the prisoners are expected to follow the orders of the guards and other prison officials, or risk being placed in solitary confinement or facing other disciplinary measures up to death. In the film 12 Angry Men, the men of the jury are tasked with listening to the evidence presented in a criminal trial and then to use their judgment and critical thinking skills to determine whether the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and to come to a unanimous decision. Ultimately, the juror's role is to deliver a fair and just verdict based on the evidence presented, regardless of their personal feelings or beliefs. Inception is a movie with the rule that someone can enter and influence the dream state of another person, and time spent in that dream is 12 times faster than in the real world. An hour in the first dream layer corresponds to only 5 minutes in the real world. In Star Wars, Jedi Knights can use the Force to manipulate the environment based on certain rules. Also, great distances can be crossed using hyperspace travel. In The Silence of the Lambs, the only way to catch one killer is by asking another killer for help. The first and second rule of Fight Club is, you don't talk about Fight Club. The other 6 rules are probably well known or at least easy to Google. So now that we know what to do, let's look at some examples of what not to do. Let's look at some examples of bad setting rules. Time travel to the past to change something. In Arrival, super advanced aliens come to Earth, but they can't learn to speak human. Again in Arrival, the hero finds the solution to the main story problem via time travel to a point in time that can't exist without that solution. If you want to log out of the Matrix, you have to find a landline telephone. If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. There is absolutely no logical reason for someone to design a VR hijack that can kill the user. Let's take a closer look at the 2 rules that were used in the Matrix. Why were they created if they are so illogical? Because they delivered 2 very important ingredients for a great story: high stakes and incredible odds. Matrix did a phenomenal job on applying these rules for dramatic effect, but the rules themselves sadly make no sense and tarnish what is otherwise a great movie. Also, movies with time travel are notorious for being flawed. Most time travel movies have someone go back in time to change a bad event. The problem is that since the bad thing doesn't happen anymore, there is no reason to go back in time to change it. Few movies pull this off successfully, and one of them is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is one of the best time travel movies ever. I highly recommend it, but sadly, it is the exception. Terminator 1 and 2 also work because the time travelers are unsuccessful in changing the past. So, rules need to be not only interesting, but also realistic and believable. Interesting and realistic rules are fundamental for a great story and a great ending. Let's talk about ingredient number 3, integrity. So now you have great characters that live by great rules and that act in a setting with great rules. Now you just need to apply these rules consistently. Many movies have a great story. Many even have established interesting and realistic rules. But unfortunately, many then fail in fairly and equally applying these rules to everyone. Applying interesting and realistic rules consistently keeps the viewer engaged and their disbelief suspended. Letting interesting rules collide with one another result in interesting conflict. One common twist is that in the end, the hero of the movie breaks the established rules of the movie in some clever way in order to achieve the goal of the story. But this must be done in a really clever and believable way, or it will ruin the whole movie. Like Pixar states in rule number 19, coincidences to get characters into trouble are great. Coincidences to get them out of it are cheating. What does it mean to have integrity in your story? Don't cheat. Establish the rules of the universe and then apply them consistently, including in the end. If you need to break the rules of the story in order to win the goal, you better make sure it is done in a clever, super satisfying way, otherwise the viewer will feel cheated and betrayed. Don't introduce a deus ex machina in the end to win the day. Don't let the protagonist wake up to realize it was all just a dream. The ultimate goal of having integrity in the ending would be to use the established rules in a surprising way to resolve the conflict in the climax of the movie. Applying the rules consistently respects the viewer who invested time and money to see it on the big screen. Let's look at an example where applying the established rules of the movie works great. One of the rules of the Matrix is that if you lose power to the VR head jack while you are in the Matrix, you die. But as the VR head jack of Neo loses power in the end, Neo doesn't die. The reason is that he is fulfilling the prophecy and is becoming the One. This works great because it was stated throughout the movie that the One would be able to do it. But the movie also made it clear that there were strong doubts about Neo being the One, up until the very end. So, with this finale, Neo completes the inner and outer journey in a very satisfying way. He has become the One. He beats the bad guys and saves most of his friends. Here is a great video that explains what a deus ex machina is. I'll link it in the description. And Brandon Sanderson has a great talk about coming up with rules and applying them consistently here. I will link it in the description as well. Let's talk about ingredient number 4, resolution. A great ending resolves the main conflict of the movie in a satisfying way. This does not necessarily mean it must be a happy ending, but unless you are very sure that your unhappy or bittersweet ending works, you should probably use a happy ending. How do we get a satisfying ending? Transformation. A satisfying ending should bring a powerful close to your character development. The main character has learned valuable lessons along the way, and the ending should illustrate their transformation. See also inner journey. Surprise. A satisfying ending has an element of surprise. Predictable endings will make a great story fall flat. Suspense. An ending is intensified when there is a moment when the main character might not succeed. That last-minute tension makes the ending more satisfying when the main character overcomes their obstacles. Resolution. A great ending resolves the main conflict of the movie. See also outer journey. A viewer should be able to walk away with a feeling that the story is complete. Don't cheat. Respect the rules that you established and don't use illogical, unrealistic, or impossible ways to resolve the central conflict. A great example for a satisfying story resolution is The Shawshank Redemption. The ending resolves the main story conflict, Andy being in jail for a crime he did not commit, in a very satisfying way. The ending of The Shawshank Redemption is a happy ending. The good guys win and the bad guys lose. Is surprising yet believable. Resolves the inner and outer journey, with the outer journey of Andy escaping prison and the inner journey of Red in that hope wins over despair. Tyler Mowry talks about how to resolve even 3 levels of stakes in How to Write a Great Ending. Link is in the description. Summary. So, let's summarize what we learned. For a great ending, we need 4 ingredients. A great story using conflict, high stakes, incredible odds, and an inner and outer journey. Setting and character rules that are interesting and realistic. Applying the rules consistently without cheating. resolution of the main story conflict in a satisfying way, by resolving the inner and outer journey with integrity, surprise, and suspense. In the next video, I will apply these criteria to a movie and explain why that movie botched its ending. Thank you for watching.